Hello, welcome once again. In this case, we are going to talk about defects due to the yarn, and concisely, we are going to talk about impurities. What are we going to talk about in these videos? What we are going to explain are what an impurity is, which is the appearance of this defect, and mainly which is the main cause that we can observe in this defect, or the main cause that produces this defect. So, in the case of impurities, we can describe that this is due to the presence of strange fibers, right? So, we will have an impurity when we have, for example, a cotton yarn, and we can find or observe that there is not only cotton, and we have the presence of, for example, polyester fibers, right? This would be an impurity. And which is the appearance? Well, usually it is noticed when we have colored fibers or when we are going to dye the fibers. So, in the previous case, if we have the cotton yarn in which some impurities are included in the shape of polyester fibers, we would observe that when it's white, it's very difficult to detect this defect. But when we dye the yarn or when we dye the fabric with this yarn, we will observe a difference in the shade of color, or even in this case, polyester fibers won't be dyed because we will dye according to the process for dyeing cotton. So, mainly this defect is observed when we have color or when we dye the yarn or the fabric made with those yarns. Which is the main cause? Okay, practically this occurs in the spinning process where some foreign fibers are included, right? So this is basically the main cause. And which is the appearance, or how can we observe this defect? Okay, here in this slide we are going to observe. Okay, first of all, to remark that we are talking about weave fabrics, and in this case, what we have is a knit fabric, okay? But okay, it's going to show us how we can observe the impurity in a yarn. Here we can observe that we've got black fibers in a cone, in a yarn which is in a cone, okay? When we analyze or enlarge this part, we can observe how there is a black fiber which is clearly observed in contrast to the white fibers, right? And when we include this yarn in a fabric or in a structure, textile structure, it is clearly observed, right? So here you can observe that what I explained previously about color. We can observe it when we have a difference in color. If it had been all in white, we could not observe an impurity in that kind of fibers, right? Okay, the impurity can also be because we have a cotton. Imagine that we are talking about cotton as the previous example. Then when we have all white cotton and here appears a black fiber of cotton, it's also considered an impurity, right? So this is what we can observe in this defect, and thank you very much for your attention.